An animated film from the 90s gets a live-action retreatment to give a little backstories to the main characters so that they have a little more in common. Wait, didn't I already do Beauty and the Beast? Ghost in the Shell, the 2017 version, is a live-action remake of the 1995 anime classic Ghost in the Shell, this time with Scarlett Johansson being the major player. Is it worth an update? Are there things here that couldn't have happened before? Well, here's 5 things you might want to know about Ghost in the Shell. Oh man, it really feels like this one is a complete mess, doesn't it? From the whitewashing accusations and all the hubbub around that controversy, all the way down to the finished product. I did find some stuff to like here, though. Let's start here. I think the story's better in this one than actually in the original. I know I might get some flack for saying that, but I actually went back and watched the original Ghost in the Shell right after watching this. That story is kind of a mess. You really have to draw a lot of the lines yourself, and they don't always make sense. This one at least attempts to put you in a world where things make sense. The character motivations make a little more sense. I like the backstory they gave, the place they took it. So overall, I feel like the story of this one is even better than the first. The other thing I feel like they got right, and they had to get this right, was the visuals. I feel like the visuals in this are spectacular. Now, that may be a little bit of the IMAX laser talking. I saw it in an IMAX laser screening. It's so crisp and clear. The 3D was amazing and bright, which 3D usually isn't in a movie like that. This makes a big difference because there's dark places in this movie. But I really enjoyed the visuals in this. Absolutely gorgeous. I love the perspective of the city. I love the way they visualized the disappearing with kind of that zero suit ScarJo, if you will. I thought all that stuff was not only good to look at, but also really clever in the way that they put it on screen. So I really did like the visuals. And we've reached the conclusion of things I liked. Let's talk about the stuff I didn't. Now, you'll notice when I said the visuals were nice, I didn't say the effects were beautiful. Effects are different than visuals. It's like a wedding cake. It can look really pretty, but when you taste it, what's at the center of it? Unfortunately, I thought the effects in this weren't all that great, especially at the end. The end of this movie had some laugh out loud bad effects for me. Now, maybe I was just that uncanny valley place where you can tell it's a computer generated effect and not a real human being, which is ironic considering the character technically is a computer generated body, even though it's kind of a human being. Sorry, I'm getting lost in the logic. The point being, it didn't look right, and that takes a lot away from a movie, distracts you from it, and took me out of that entire final action sequence. The other part of the movie that took me out of it, and I think this is my main frustration with the movie, you cannot get your footing in this movie. The tone seems weird. It seems a little long and drawn out. Here's what I think happened. I'm going to try to put my finger on it. I think they were trying to capture the tone of the original anime in this updated live action remake. Here's the problem. Animes have a particular tone because of the technology it takes to make them, because they were hand-drawn. It will stay on the same frame for many seconds, and you don't do that in a live-action movie, especially an action film. And so it just felt like everything was paced to be drawn out, forgive the pun, when it was actually live action. So I think they made a mistake in trying to keep the tone of the original instead of the spirit of the original. The other thing about that, and this really is kind of point B from my point A previous, the characters are the same way. They just feel stilted. And again, I think it goes back to trying to keep that original feel instead of doing something new in the same universe. It just doesn't work for this movie. It kind of creates a real mess. These characters feel boring and strange and out of place in a way that they just shouldn't. And I know there's been a lot of talk about whitewashing these characters, and I get that. It's important to have that discussion. But to me, that discussion almost doesn't even matter when these characters aren't likable in the first place. And that was the experience I had coming out of Ghost in the Shell. Overall, it's a visually spectacular movie. I think it was an interesting idea to try to go at it and do Ghost in the Shell in live action. However, the end product is way too much of a mess for me to give it anything more than a C-. Thanks for checking out this Your Movie Friend review. We'll get to the best ever challenge here in a bit. Before we get there, if you want to connect more, I'd love that. Hit me up on Twitter. A lot of great conversations there. Aaron Dicer, AARONDICER, having a blast there. Also having a blast on the podcast. It's called SiftPop, SiftPop. You can subscribe wherever you get your favorite podcasts. If you don't do podcasts, I'd encourage you to figure out how. It's really simple. Just do a little Googling. You'll figure it out quickly, and then you have something to put in your ears whenever you're driving or working out or whatever. It's a lot of fun. And also, if you want to connect on YouTube, love that too. Subscribe, comment, all the fun that we have here on the YouTubes. All right, on to the best ever challenge, where you name the best movie ever in a particular category. Also try to identify my choice. We do all that in the comments. All right, here's your clue for mine. Oh, and by the way, the first person to get it right does get a point. The clue for mine, oh, I didn't even get the category. Goodness. Scarlett Johansson movies. It's such a big category, just slipped my mind. Yeah, what is the best ever Scarlett Johansson movie? The clue for mine is it's the one where she doesn't even appear on screen, but it's actually a live action movie. Take a guess at mine in the comments. First person to get it right does get a point. As always, here's 5 extra seconds to hit the subscribe logo. Just click it right down here in this corner.